My father died a number of years ago from congestive heart failure. And in the last several weeks of his life, as he got weaker, our family, my mother and my two brothers and myself, were faced with how do we best care for Dad. As my younger brother and my older brother were arguing back and forth, they turned to me and they said, what do you think? And I said, well, I do have a professional opinion, and I'd be happy to share that with you. And I think what we need to do is establish some criteria by which we would select the best option for Dad. So rather than arguing over the options, let's talk about what makes a good option. And then it might be clear which option would be best. So we picked a couple of methodologies that I work with all the time, QFD for the voice, and a method called the AHP, or Analytic Hierarchy Process, for prioritization. And so what we did is we looked at the options, and there were like hospice and hospital, hospice, hospice and home, nursing home, hospital. There were about 8 or 9 different options. And so we started to look at how we might choose those. So my brothers and my mother and I, we talked about what we wanted. Some of the things that came up was it would be easy for friends and family to visit at their convenience. Dad would be in familiar surroundings. It would be easy on the family, or easy on my mother to care for him. There would be no risk that he might pass away alone. So these types of things that would help us choose what might be the best end-of-life care. So we took the options, and from that we were able to get this voice of the family. And then what AHP does is it helps prioritize using paired comparisons. So rather than trying to prioritize a list of all these things like, familiar surroundings and easy for friends and family, we look as one list, we look at them 2 at a time. The advantage of that is you rule out all the other issues until you get to their combination. And so it makes a very discrete choice. Another advantage of this is that we don't have to agree. We can actually average the responses. So even with my mother and my brother disagreeing on some things, we could in fact come to an agreement. We chose hospice and hospital, and one of the things about hospice, you basically sign in to never, sign out again. And so they take away all your medications unless it has to do with pain. And for people who've been on, and my mother of course had monitored my dad's medications for years and years, and to say he can no longer take this or no longer take that was just very upsetting to her, even though it had been explained that way. And but it helped us talk to each other and work with the hospice staff to help us better understand what was going to take place. So we were clear, they were clear, and we were able to have a great last few days with Dad.